My name is Kim, and I'm a horrible millennial mom. So, here on The Horrible Millennial Mom, I talk about what it's like trying to raise a Catholic family as a spiritually immature brat myself. So, it is incredibly difficult to be at home with three young babies. Three young babies, none of whom are school aged yet. And for anyone who's been there before, you know, and even if you haven't, I'm sure you can imagine that it is incredibly overwhelming. And some days some days I've just gotten to the end of the day and don't even know how I got there. But a few months ago, the Lord gave me this really, really beautiful vision to hold on to for days that are really, really tough. So my youngest was 3 months old, and ever since she was born, and even still to this day, she is incredibly clingy. Clingy. She just needs to be on me. Specifically when she was 3 months old, I needed to physically hold her all day long, or she would freak out. If I put her down even for a second, she was screaming bloody murder. And that was just so draining. So one day in particular, I was holding her, and I didn't want to hear the crying, so I would just hold her all the time, even if it was incredibly exhausting and inconvenient for me. But so I was holding her, and my middle child was just saying, "Mommy, I'm hungry, Mommy, I'm hungry, Mommy, I'm hungry." And it was about lunchtime, and I knew I had to get up, and I had to do it. I had to make lunch. So I put my youngest down, and she just screamed as I was making lunch, and I was just making a quick mac and cheese, and she was just screaming, which is what she always did when I made meals because I wasn't holding her, so she was just screaming. And on this day in particular, my middle child was also at my feet screaming because he wanted it to be done sooner, because he wanted to eat right now, and he's 2, and he was just screaming. Actually, at the time, he was only about 1.5. So he's just at my feet crying and screaming. And then at the time she was 3, then my 3-year-old comes into the kitchen, and she's also upset. Probably because I'm not giving her attention, probably because her siblings are upset, so she feels like she needs to be upset. So she just starts crying, and she's screaming, and I'm just standing there trying to make this mac and cheese, and I have 3 infants and toddlers and newborns all just screaming, and just these huge overwhelming emotions take me over, and I just fall to the floor sobbing as well, just really feeling so overwhelmed with everything going on in that moment. And so I fall to the floor, and I'm crying. And then I have babies crawling all over me, crying, right? Because when everyone's upset, everyone needs a cuddle. So I have a 1.5-year-old who needs a cuddle, and I have a 3-year-old who needs a cuddle. And the 3-month-old is screaming so loud that I pick her up so that at least someone is not crying. But that doesn't work because everyone's crying. And I remember in that moment, while I'm sobbing, just closing my eyes and saying, "Lord, please be here in this moment. Please give me the strength and patience to make it through this moment. And I couldn't even really feel like I could pray because there were babies climbing all over me, everybody needing to be hugged and cuddled. And then that's when the Lord softly spoke into my heart that I could crawl into his lap and cry. So as I'm sitting there with 3 babies all crawled into me, screaming, and I'm also sobbing and crying. While I was holding them in my lap, I was also imagining crawling into the Lord's lap and having him hold me. And it was almost like the Lord gave me this like really beautiful moment of embracing me in that chaos and reminding me that I'm his baby. I guess I need to be somebody's baby, but that I'm his baby. And I mean, as the title of this YouTube channel suggests, I'm incredibly spiritually immature. So it fits. I kind of have the spiritual maturity of an infant. So, so the parallel is perfect. But it has helped over and over again. Like the Lord speaking that into my heart has helped over and over again because I find myself constantly coming back to that parallel of my relationship with my babies is very much my relationship with God, except I'm the child, I'm the toddler. And I find myself realizing it over and over again in my conversations with them. So there are a few phrases that I say so often to my toddlers and my infants that I realize the Lord is also always saying to me, and I need to take that in and I need to hear it. So I'm going to share a few of those so that we can all kind of sit with it together. So these are phrases that I say to my toddler all the time that I often feel like God is really saying to me. I told you not to do that or you would get hurt. Not now. You have to wait. It's okay to be frustrated, but you can ask me for help. You have to be nice to your brother, even if your brother is not being nice to you. I love you more than anything in the world, no matter what you do. And so reminding myself that I have the option to crawl into God's arms whenever things are getting super overwhelming has helped me to come back to that moment over and over again. And to just live in those chaotic, crazy, overwhelming mom moments with at least a little bit more mercy. So I would love, love, love to hear your wisdom in the comments. So if you've ever had a similar situation, if there are any prayers that you say during that time, I obviously would love to hear it. I would love to hear more about your experience and your wisdom. Please comment below. And so let's just wrap this up with a prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for all the moments that you allow us to cry into your arms. You are a loving Father who cares for us better than any earthly parent ever could. You spoil us with your love and mercy. Please help us to recognize your presence in our interactions with our children. Mama Mary, please pray that we might parent just a little more like you. Amen. I love you, sisters. I'm praying for you. Please pray for me too.